dumelang. Oh my God. Trust you. We're another Twitter maniac. We're another Instagram bad bitch. We're not cheapy. To think you know anything about bullying and how to sort that out. Shut up. Bullying in South Africa has been out of control, and to arrest the perpetrators is not gonna solve the problem. That will not solve the problem. And this is a worldwide thing. Like, we panic when these things happen, but to be honest with you, once a year to have a suicide case is not as bad as in other countries. I am not saying bullying is right and the death of Lufuno means nothing because she's the only one we're talking about this year, but her death is a lesson to all of us. Talk to your children. This thing of throwing teachers, the baggage of having to deal with your brats is the reason these type of things happen. The kids who bullied that girl, they're not angels at home. There's no way kids who are brought up to respect other people, to protect other people's feelings will do such. And that's another topic that we should have, and I think we're gonna try to have a psychologist who we're gonna interview and who's gonna talk to us about bullying, because it will never stop and it will continue happening. And on that note, I would really like us to have a 5-second moment of silence for Lufuno. Rest in peace, Miguel. I'm really sorry it had to be you. I'm really sorry it's still happening to other people. And I'm sorry that the teachers who were informed by the parent did nothing about it. So, yeah, like, we as a nation, we failed that girl. For her to be bullied to such a point where she was trying to defend herself with kindness and humility, and people just thought she's pussy. And that's the mentality that we have in South Africa. As soon as people try to be humane, we just take advantage of them, and it starts from that type of young age. And this whole week, Department of Education from around the country are gonna release like statements. They're gonna tweet and they're gonna do like some graphic designed anti-bullying campaigns. That means nothing. They're just gonna pay somebody $1 million to just make those things, a whole lot of stupid shitty ass posters, but they're not gonna deal with the crust of the problem. If a parent complains to teachers and says, hey, my kid is being bullied by some of the classmates, what do you guys expect the teacher to do? The underpaid teacher. In certain schools, they have these classes about bullying. It's only in poor schools where there's no psychiatrists that are readily available, and that's something that should be looked at. I didn't want to start this podcast on this somber, that's a good word, sombra, on this sombra note, but it is what it is. So let's move on to another sad topic. We're out of chips. Yep, semiconductors really out, and a lot of people are complaining like, oh, we're not gonna get our cell phones. But what they're not telling you is that no, you don't need to get the latest phone and whatever. The issue is that cars needs those semiconductors, and with a phone you can use like a few semiconductors to do facial recognition, to do like to indicate, to make sure the camera works, so you don't have it can stop itself if it's an automatic car, if there's you trying to change lane and there's a car in your blind spot. That's for cars. You need a lot of chips for a car to do too many things in this day and age. But for phones to do your like send a message, to take a screen grab, the semiconductors are not that hectic. With that said, this has stalled due to the semiconductor shortages. Our project My Custodos has been put on delay because we need a lot of semiconductors as well to launch the project, which is a combination of a nanny cam and a dash cam, but also a router. So you can put it in your house to work as a dash cam to see who's coming in, as a security camera, and then it'll tell you if there's movement. But also the whole family can connect to it, like router the same way those small Huawei routers work. So that's something we're working on, and then you can also put it in your car, and when you're driving, it can tell you, it can take videos and take pictures of the road. That way, if you get into an accident, provide the evidence to the insurance company and say, hey, look, it wasn't my fault. Here's proof. Or if somebody tries to get into your car, it can tell you like there's somebody in a car and take a picture and send it to you on the phone. Those are things that we were planning to launch, but with the semiconductor shortage, we might have to put that on hold a bit. We've spoken to a few people in China, and there's nothing else we can do at the moment. It's going to be expensive if we insist on getting the project. We're trying to get a prototype so we can just fix it up, but we are dealing with a pandemic, and this is the situation that we're facing at the moment. Yeah. Lastly, I want to talk about online accusations, and yeah, like we need to start talking about this accusations that happen online and they get believed without the cases going to court. And I'm all for believe all women, but we're reaching a very dangerous stage where we shouldn't believe all women. And it's unfortunate that I have to say that, because I've been one of the people who say women never lie about this type of things, but I've seen situations where dudes say, hey, it wasn't even me. My name just got dragged. And we can give an example of Ngozi. Like, a stupid ass journalist just wrote an article saying, hey, some girl says Ngozi raped him, trended, and he said he didn't do it. The police said he is not a suspect, but because it was put out there, it will go on for the rest of his life. And we need to be careful with those type of situations where social media judges have become the last word when these type of situations happen. I mean, it's bad enough we're dealing with the owners of these social media companies who are making decisions to remove like accounts they don't like, or accounts that go against what they believe politically. So imagine now we have to deal with a situation where a girl can wake up and say, hey, you tried to rape me, and all you're thinking about is like, hey, I tried to kiss you. I wasn't gonna ask you. We're in a moment and I thought I should just try so I can smash later, and you said no, and that was it. But for you to say it was rape, that's a very dangerous line that we're working on, and we need to sort that out now. It might be a bit too late, but it's at some point we can't let this be like, oh, this is how things are now. This is how we're gonna have to move going forward. We need to fix it if we can. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember, do not subscribe, do not like, don't even share. Don't even share this video. Like, don't do it. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll try to find a psychologist to interview and get back to you guys if there's anything happening. On that note, let's stay off the internet as much as we can, because that's another topic we need to talk about. It's starting to affect our minds. We're not reading that much. 140 characters is not enough. I dare you right now to open any book and read 2 pages. You're gonna find it difficult. You know why? Because you're used to reading like 7 words. You're used to reading from a small screen. So our brains are starting to adapt. And if you don't believe me, remember when you had your first phone, and I'm talking to people who are over the ages of 30. Remember when you didn't need to store numbers and you could just remember them, because the phones back then didn't have enough memory to store numbers, and you knew like 10 numbers. I promise you right now, you probably know like 3 numbers: your mom, your girlfriend, and your best friend who hasn't changed his number in a long time. But after that, you don't know shit. I mean, I could say you also know 10,111, but it doesn't work because the South African Police Department is bullshit. Skak. With that said, peace. See you next week. Ditsi Winky. Aware.